And we have, for Measure H, which is the one ballot measure that we have on, I'll let the two debaters explain it. But speaking for Measure H, we have Marie Rice. Speaking against Measure H, we have George Parks. And we'll go ahead and start. I'll let the two debaters explain what the measure is, and they have 5 minutes each. Marie? Oh no, sorry, I decided George. George is going to go first.
Okay. Thank you, Al. And I want to thank the Hermosa Beach Neighborhood Association for inviting us to speak to you this evening about Measure H, which I'm sure all of you know. It's the transient occupancy tax on the ballot to increase it from 10% to 12%, and it is a general tax increase. And I was approached by several of the residents this evening, and they said, George, at a recent council meeting, you supported this.
You did.
Well, I am getting old. Maybe I did. I don't know. And I'm not saying this evening whether I'm really for or against it. I'm kind of leaning against it, and I'll give my reasons. I'm primarily here because Al called me yesterday and said, George, the two Hermosa residents that said they wanted to speak bailed on me. And I need somebody here next to Marie that's opposed to this measure. So this is why I'm here. And I do have mixed feelings about Measure H. And I know the city has many needs, as you all know, right? Infrastructure, facility, streets, it just goes on, and just most recently now, police and fire departments. And the city certainly can use extra money, and this will bring in a little extra money, like $400,000 or $440,000. The proposal basically is very reasonable, but I'm asking the voters to consider a few things. And I'm asking them to consider because of my experience on this city council for 12 years, 41 years ago. This modest increase is going to go to the general fund for general purposes. So I think the voters need to ask themselves, will the city's needs actually be addressed? Or will it be the city council's political correctness agenda that will be addressed? And by that I mean, I think currently the city council's budget is a little bit out of whack. It's not really addressing the needs of the community. Now, I'm all for a greener city, and I'm all for reducing the carbon footprint. But I think that needs to be put on the back burner right now. We need to get streets fixed. We need to deal with the infrastructure of the city. Now, is the money earmarked? No, it isn't, and that is a concern that I have. See, I'm not against every tax. I supported the sewer tax because the sewer tax by law is earmarked just for sewers. Cannot be used for anything else. There's no sunset clause in this proposal. I supported, when I was on the city council, the utility users tax to purchase the Santa Fe right-of-way to develop the Greenbelt. And when we all did this, we all said to the residents, to the voters, that once we do this and develop this Greenbelt, we're going to take this utility users tax away. Well, as you know, future city councils, they just keep adding, keeping the utility users tax and increasing it. This is what happens with governmental agencies and taxes. And I have firsthand experience with Proposition 13. I was the only city councilman at the time that supported Proposition 13 because our elderly residents, including the elderly ones in Manhattan Beach, they literally cried because they were losing their homes. So I have supported taxes in the past. I would like the citizens to consider, should the city council reset their budget priorities? Should they look at more in reducing expenses? Think more out of the box and be creative. For one, I put a summit together 3-4 years ago I really believe, and I believed it when I was on the council, in these beach cities, we need a South Bay Fire Department, a South Bay Police Department. We can save a lot of money. Politically, it's difficult, but it can be done. When I was on the council 41 years ago, we're talking about the same issues. I call this the revolving door. Even though more money is coming into the city, we still have not addressed the city's needs. And why is that? Because 75% of a city budget goes to employee salaries, benefits, retirement benefits. So there's not a lot of money left over to really address the needs of the city. So to stop the revolving door, we need a city council that are true leaders, that have some courage, and that is why this evening I have second thoughts about this ballot measure. All I ask the voters to do is to really study it and go to the polls and vote. You have that right to vote. We have a democratic form of government, and please vote no matter which way you vote on this issue. And again, I want to thank you, Al, for inviting me.
Great.
And I'm looking forward, this lovely, young, pretty lady here to my left, I'm looking forward to hearing from her. Murray?
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you,
Marie.
George.
Yeah, thanks, George. Marie?
Thank you, Al.
Yep.
Good evening, residents of Hermosa Beach. Thank you for your attention to the important issue before us, the approval of Measure H on November 3rd. Voting yes on Measure H will generate much-needed revenue to our city without taxing residents or harming local businesses. Transient occupancy tax, also known as TOT, or hotel bed tax, is a fee on guests who stay overnight in our hotels. This fee is one of the most direct ways for our city to collect revenue from visitors, which helps pay their fair share of city services and keeps Hermosa Beach a city that they will want to visit again. In fact, TOT is one of the few sources of revenue that we do not have to share with the state. 100% of the dollars generated by TOT in Hermosa Beach comes back to the city of Hermosa Beach. A fee for staying overnight is nothing new to visitors to our city. It has been in place since 1967. Our current rate, that actually predates George. Our current rate of 10% was approved in 1990 and activated in 1991. We are long overdue for an increase. According to Vicki Copeland, our city finance director, your yes vote on Measure H to increase the TOT rate from 10 to 12% would generate an estimated additional $440,000 in annual revenue, not just one time, annually, from existing hotel rooms for our general fund. City Council can direct that this revenue be used to fund capital improvements, like George was speaking about, sewers, police, fire department, infrastructure maintenance and upgrades, fire, police, civil services, and beautification projects, which benefit visitors and residents alike. We've made this preference for capital improvement clear in the language of the measure. And let me just state, we know what the plan of the city is. It's our strategic plan. It's printed. It's on the wall. We also know what the priorities are of our city council and staff. They just set the priorities for the year. They do it annually. There are many top priority projects that are in fact infrastructure projects. This revenue gives our city council the tools it needs to move these projects along further. Once they've completed a project, this revenue can be applied to another infrastructure project. Since 1990, the average rate of hotel bed tax in our nearby cities in the county has increased to a rate higher than our current rate of 10%. The cities of Beverly Hills, Los Angeles, Inglewood, Santa Monica, and Culver City all charge their visitors 14%. LA County average TOT rate is now 12.6. Orange County charges 11.9. The cities of Hawthorne, Long Beach, Malibu, and Redondo all charge 12%. And Manhattan Beach, while currently at a rate of 10%, has already been approved to adjust their rate up to 12%. It is a fact that the proposed rate of 12% is in line with neighboring cities, the county, and region, and is quite reasonable for a destination with wide sandy beaches, a historic small-town atmosphere, and a beautiful coastline. You may be asking yourself, will the change to 12% stop a visitor from visiting our city? The answer is a resounding no, based on the research we did prior to proposing this increase. Tourists do not choose where they're going to stay based on TOT rates. Research from nonpartisan experts in the travel and tourism industry support this conclusion. According to Dean Runyon Associates, the tourism consultants currently employed by the state of California's Department of Travel and Tourism, who we consulted on this proposed increase, have stated, most leisure travelers do not choose their destination based on the rate of hotel bed tax. This small increase to 12% would have no measurable impact on occupancy rates, since Hermosa Beach is not a convention destination, and this rate is in line with neighboring cities and the rest of Southern California. A yes vote on Measure H is endorsed by the City Council as a body, as well as many of our former electeds, including George, and current and past commissioners. The measure has very broad support from residents who moved this initiative onto the ballot by circulating a petition that gained over 560 signatures in just 12 days. In conclusion, a yes vote on Measure H will bring an additional $440,000 in revenue annually from just our existing hotels to Hermosa without taxing residents. A yes vote on Measure H means more money to solve the problems facing our city. Vote yes on Measure H on November 3rd, because Measure H is a good deal for Hermosa. Thank you.